You're about to listen to a Gaming Stooges podcast with your regularly scheduled Stooges.
I'm Jack.
The internet calls me Cloud.
And I'm Landon.
We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and if you do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitch, or joining our Discord. Let's get on with the show.
It's a whole new world we live in.
We live in Pokémon Johto.
Hey, folks.
Hi, everybody.
I don't know if who's listening who's known about the previous podcast and who hasn't. We did talk about Pokemon as a general series earlier, and we mentioned that we would do like individual generations. We did Generation 1. We're back for Generation 2.
Hell yeah.
So, I'm just going to do a quick rundown, just going to kind of like spew off like what did Generation 2 introduce, because we've got a lot of new stuff compared to what Generation 1 had. And then just we're going to talk about our experiences with the series, with the generation, how we got into it, what we liked, what we didn't like. But the games are obviously Pokemon Gold and Silver, which came out on October 15th, 2000 in North America. Introducing the Johto region and its gym leaders, the Dark and Steel types, notably splitting the special stat into two stats, Special Attack and Special Defense. First games and only games to include two regions, which give you an entire like set of gym leaders and badges to go for. First games in the series to include a Super Boss post-game trainer, starting with Red. And we got a whole bunch of new mechanics. We've got the introduction of breeding and eggs and genders to Pokemon. There's a day and night cycle and days of the week cycle. There's the expansion of the friendship mechanic, which was exclusive to Pikachu back in Pokemon Yellow. Now every Pokemon has it, and it can affect certain things like evolutions. We've got multiple sections in the inventory for your bag. Instead of it being one pocket, you got multiple different pockets. That's a big thing as well. Shiny Pokemon, held items, a screen that lets you check what your moves do, because the first games didn't have that for some reason. And on top of that, we had Crystal version, which was released not too long after, actually. July 21st, 2001. I thought it was a holiday release. I was wrong. But that also added the option to choose the gender for your player character. That was the first. The first to include a battle facility with the battle tower. And the first to include a Move Tutor special battle music for legendary Pokemon, and animations for Pokemon when they enter battle. So, bunch of firsts for this generation. There was only 2 side games. We talked about the side games at large in our like overall series discussion, but the only 2 in this generation are Stadium 2 and Puzzle Challenge, so like, not gonna spend any time talking about those. So, what are our first experiences with Gold, Silver, and Crystal?
Yes.
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 No.
Oh?
I mean, not quite. Not quite to the extent of you guys. I have very, very brief like interactions with these games before Gen 3 came out. Just from playing it on friends' Game Boys, but as far as first-hand experience as a child growing up, not much. Until emulation.
Was that your first way of playing?
The original Gold and Silver, yes.
Oh, wow. And how far back was this?
Good question.
I was going to say, do you remember the first time you played Pokemon Gold and Silver?
Like all the way through? Probably like 2009, if I had to guess.
Okay. Well, me personally, I got both of the games for my birthday in 2001, so I got it like the holiday after they came out. And I remember vividly, my sister was mad that I got both games, even though she never plays Pokemon. But I decided, all right, fine, you can pick one of the games, I'll keep the other, which one do you want? And she picked Silver, started with Cyndaquil, went to the first route of the game, and didn't play anymore. As for
Perfect
me,
story.
I played Gold, I picked Totodile. I basically ran almost the entire game with just that Totodile. Like, I got Togepi, I leveled it up a little bit, I somehow beat Jasmine's level 35 Steelix with my Togepi that was level 15. That's a cool story I'll share later on in the podcast. And that was it. I beat the Elite Four with a level 65 for Alligator, so yeah, that was cool. This was all, and a lot of this was I actually played on the Game Boy Advance, because that was that was out like the next like holiday season, so more of my memories come from playing it on that, but I did play it back when I originally had my Game Boy Color that I played everything else on. Yeah, I never got Crystal though until like much more recently. But I mean, I had Gold.
I don't remember if I got those right at launch, but I did get those pretty early on. And those were like my main ones I played, was Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. Mostly Silver was like my main file game, and then Gold became my restart to trade Pokemon over and to get all the starters and everything.
So you had a Game Link cable at the time too?
Yes. Even though I did not have a well, I didn't really do the trading until I got my Game Boy Advance SP. But I still like got one of those. And I was doing like Gen 2 a lot, even when Gen 3, like I had access to Gen 3, I was still playing a lot of Gen 2. So yeah, Silver was my main. Cyndaquil was my main on that. And then I did a bit of Totodile and a bit of Chikorita.
Okay.
Yeah. But definitely the highlight memory I remember, it was a gold run, and I had a shitty, like I had a pretty decent team, but I had like a level 5 Spinarak that won me the rival fight in Eckerjik City in the Burn Tower.
Oh wow.
I remember that fight pretty vividly.
Do you want to go into detail with it?
Yeah, everything died, and all I had left was this like level 5 Spinarak. And I threw it out, and I think I had spammed a smokescreen or something to make like the last of the rivals Pokemon like miss an attack, and it just landed a poison sting and was actually able to win. That's pretty much what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a similar story. Jack, did you have something you wanted to share first, though?
Not really. Go ahead.
So the Togepi thing, I remember this vividly because it was the only Pokemon I had leveled up really at all besides my Feraligatr. It was probably upper 30s. It might have been around 40 or 41. It wasn't like above like 41 or 42 though. And I just remember fighting Jasmine, and so her Steelix knows the moves in Gold and Silver, Sunny Day, Iron Tail, Rock Throw, and some other move that I can't remember. It's like a move that I don't think it does damage. I think it's like Harden or some shit.
It's probably Harden.
But anyway, I know that her two attacking moves are Iron Tail and Rock Throw. These are not very accurate moves. And somehow one of the Magnemites that she has managed to paralyze my Feraligatr before it went down. Maybe I just was a stupid kid and I like used a move that didn't kill it. I don't know. But because of that, the Steelix was able to knock out my Feraligatr. And so I send out Togepi, and I have two moves. I have Metronome, and a second one was like a weak stab attack. And I had been thinking for like years, I was like, what move is it that I'm like, because she had something. He had something. Turns out it was Swift. I taught that by TM. I thought it was like Peck or like Pound or Headbutt or something. No, it was definitely Swift. I send out the Togepi. The Steelix misses with his attack, and I went for Metronome. The first thing I got off was an Octazooka.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know what the move Octazooka does. That also lowers the Pokemon's accuracy. And then the next metronome, it might not have been the exact next metronome, but just the moral of the story is this Steelix just could not land a hit. And I landed 2 moves that lowered accuracy and nothing else. The second was a smoke screen. I got like insane moves too. Like, keep in mind, this Steelix has Sunny Day. And somehow I got off a solar beam during these metronomes. I think there was Fire Blast. There was like a couple like dud moves. Like I think one of them was like, I think might be been like Growl or something else that was like nothing. Because I used up all of my metronomes, and she got off her Hyper Potion, and somehow despite that, this Steelix could not land a hit. And with the spamming Swift, I eventually took it out. Togepi leveled up twice, and I remember the very next level, it evolved into Togetic, and then I brought that Togetic to the bug catching contest. As like, I don't know, I guess I wanted to celebrate. So that was my most vivid memory when I was a kid. That and dying to Bruno a lot because of my Feraligatr. Bruno's cross chop is brutal because I'm just soloing with this one thing. So if I don't kill it, that thing can actually just one-shot me. And it did it more times than it should have. Once I got past Bruno, like I was good. Like I don't remember Karen and I don't remember Lance giving me a hard time, but Bruno's Machamp with cross chop, my goodness. I remember I was like watching Sesame Street one day and just playing Pokemon Gold when that happened. Took me like 5-6 tries.
You should have just cloned your Feraligatr 5 times, and then just ran the Elite Four with a...
I would learn about the cloning glitch, like, as a kid, but not at that point. I had already beaten the game by the time my friend discovered the cloning glitch and then taught me about it. Because my friend was financially well off, and his mom had a computer, so he was able to go on the internet in 2001 and 2002 and look this stuff up on game FAQs. So
I forget how I learned, but I know I did it as a child because I had my silver file had 6 Typhlosions, all level 100, that all knew the same moveset, and I know I took that for funsies to go fight Red. So I forget how I learned that, but I also did it as a child.
Okay. Jack, do you remember who your starter was for this generation, like when you first played it?
Probably Totodile, I think, but honestly, I don't remember super well.
Chikorita. Got it.
Okay. So, a couple of the major things that they introduced was the Dark and Steel types. So, we got a whole bunch of new Pokemon of those types. There was also one Pokemon that was retroactively changed its type, Magnemite and Magneton. There was also like a bunch of new Pokemon that were built off of the new mechanics, like the day and night cycle. You had Pokemon such as Eevee could evolve into 2 new forms, Espeon and Umbreon. And then there's a lot of Pokemon you could just straight up not obtain unless it was a certain time of day. So you'd commonly run into like Hoot Hoot at night. Sunkern could not be encountered at night, for example. And that also extended like the headbutt trees that you could do. You had like certain Pokemon, like you could get them at night and they'd be asleep. I thought that was kind of funny. Like if you like use the headbutt, like an Execute could fall out of the tree and it's just asleep right off the bat. But what are some of your favorite new Pokemon that were introduced? There was 100 new ones.
Am I going first?
You're Jack.
Okay. How many do you want?
Whatever you can list off.
5%.
I have 10.
So 5.
10%.
You can pay. You can do 10%.
All right. I just purely design-wise, this has nothing to do with how good they are as Pokemon, but just these are the designs I like the most. I like Noctowl. Hoot Hoot was I remember having a very large Hoot Hoot poster when I was a small child. Don't know why, but liked Hoot Hoot. Noctowl is a cool design. I wrote down Xatu, Mareep, Wooper, who, one of the best. And Quagsire as well. Umbreon and Espeon, technically, I'm going to have more than 10, but that's okay. Heracross, Teddiursa, and Ursaring. Skarmory, Phanpy, and Tyranitar.
Okay. So I didn't write these down because I can just kind of list them off. I've got two different answers. One is when I was a kid, and one is now. So my top 5 back when I was a kid were, I had Feraligatr, Ampharos, Steelix. I like Tyranitar a lot. I remember liking Tyranitar a lot. And I think Ho-Oh. The thing about these games is that I spent a lot of time bringing Pokemon over from my Gen 1 games. So and these games do rely, we'll get into it, but these games do rely a lot on the older Pokemon. So as much as there are some really cool new Pokemon, I ended up spending a lot of time using old Pokemon as well. But now my top 5 are definitely Espeon, Skarmory, Heracross, Houndoom, and Kingdra. Those are my top 5. With Crobat as an honorable mention. Crobat's another Pokemon that evolves through the new happiness mechanics, by the way. Kind of a pain in the ass.
Okay, so I would say for evolution lines, for the most part, Cyndaquil line, love that. I do love Crobat. Crobat's great. Although I don't think I used it much in Gen 2. I think it was starting around Gen 3 is when I actually really used it. Mareep's whole family line, shout out to them. Love Umbreon. Umbreon's probably my favorite of the Eevee evolutions. Espeon's really cool too. Shoutouts to Patreon from Pokemon XD. And then I gotta throw it to my two boys. Shuckle, Dunsparce.
Hell yeah.
Love them to death.
Fair enough.
And then Heracross is sick. Teddiursa, Ursaring are cool. Those are definitely the big ones. As far as legendary from this set, out of the 6 technically, Lugia is my favorite. I would say probably from the dogs, I would probably go Entei.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably more of a Raikou.
Raikou's cool too. I think that might have been the first. Either Entei or Raikou was the first one I actually ran into and caught. But Entei's really cool.
I'll admit, when I was a kid, I never caught any of the beasts originally.
Damn.
They were hard. The first roaming Pokemon
are.
I ever caught was Latios. And that was also a pain.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll say his line. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But yeah, no. That's another thing. This game also introduced roaming Pokemon with the legendary dogs and legendary beasts, legendary cats. They so you go into the burn tower and set them free, and then they go run around. I'm impressed the Game Boy Color cartridges could store that information indefinitely without having to move them to a specific spot every time. The fact that they could actually remember where each of them were, I think it's actually kind of impressive now that I think about it. It's kind of impressive what Gold and Silver could keep track of despite being on a Game Boy Color cartridge, but that does bring up a major discussion.
Oh boy, here we go.
The cartridges, batteries, I remember. Mine kept dying. I don't think it was dying because the battery itself was dying. I think that there was mishandling of the cartridge when I was a kid that I don't remember, because there'd be times where it would hold a save for 100+ hours. And then I'd start and then it would one day I'd boot it up and there'd just be no file there. It would just say new game option. So I would just do it again. And I would play for another, beat the game, beat the Kanto, beat Red. And I'd be playing it. And I remember I had this Mew. and I don't know what happened, but I just remember being really upset because I lost that Mew because that save file just went gone. That is like the biggest weakness of like the original games, is just because of the cartridges that they're on and the battery that they require to keep track of all that. That stuff dies really fast.
Yeah, you can you can lose your save data pretty quick. I find the other weakest part of the cartridges themselves is they can slide under bus heaters really easy and then don't come back out. RIP blue and yellow.
RIP blue and yellow. But yeah, so one of the major things about the games, though, is they introduced, obviously, the Johto regions. How do we feel about the Johto region as a whole? Jack?
Sorry, what did you say? I cut out. What?
So
Yeah.
we're moving on to discussing the Johto region. How do you feel about the Johto region?
What do you think of the region layout and design?
Oh. It's okay.
He hates it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, he hates it.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
you heard it here.
Those were the words that
I hate
came
it.
out of his mouth. He hates it.
I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being.
He hopes it burns to death.
Yeah. How'd you know?
I could tell.
I think the Johto region is fine.
The
Like,
okay gave it away.
I think it's fine. I have my beef with this region, but like we can get to that later.
But like thematically,
Thematically? What
Yeah.
the fuck do you mean thematically?
like the towns and shit.
Oh. The towns are fine.
Yeah, just talk about the region, like
Yeah,
the
the region
cities, the
itself.
routes, the environments.
I don't have a whole lot. I mean, I don't know. Johto is fine. I think in the grand scheme of Pokemon regions, it's kind of unremarkable. It's a little bit too small, and we'll get to the, pacing and level scaling later, but like, I don't know. The idea to go like more open-ended at a certain point in the game, I feel like just kind of hinders it more than it helps. But it's alright. I think there are some good towns. I think it has great music, but I mean, that's not what we're talking about right now, but
I mean, we can.
the music fucking rules. I got nothing
but
bad to
like-
say about the music.
Any like specific favorite town themes, battle themes?
Fucking... Hold on, I need a picture of the map and the major cities. Here we go. Goldenrod, that's what I was thinking of. I like the, I do love the theme for Cherry Grove City, which is also the theme for, I'm blanking on the other two. Mahogany, I want to say. It shares a theme with, I think, 2 other towns, but I forget which two. But like,
Yeah, there's like a few that like overlap. I always forget which ones they are.
Blackthorn City is cool. I don't know. I mean, I think overall the towns in this game are pretty cool, but not a ton of them like stand out to me in a major way. That's about all I have to say, honestly.
So I'll say I like the design of the region. I think my only major complaint is that there's a lot of caves. Like, you've got Dark Cave, which is gigantic. You've got Mount Mortar, which is gigantic.
Yeah.
You've got Union Cave, which is pretty moderately sized.
Yeah.
You've got the Whirl Islands, which are a connection of underwater caves.
Yeah.
There's Ice Cave. There's a lot of caves in this game.
Not enough.
I think Crystal does a better job visually of like getting them all to be a little more distinct, especially Ice Path, since it's literally like just a totally new aesthetic. Like they actually made it an ice cave. But that's like my only major complaint is I think there's too many caves, but like I like the variation otherwise for the region. Like you've got places like Ecruteak and Violet City, which are a lot more like traditional themed as opposed to the more urban settings of Kanto. You've got stuff like Cianwood and Olivine, which are these like coastal towns that are a little bit different than what we saw previously. Which Olivine has my favorite town theme, I believe. Blackthorn is pretty unique with it being It has like a little Dragon's Den is another like cave-like area that's at the north end of the city. You've got like Blackthorn just surrounded by mountain region, which I think is really cool. And obviously, Johto is connected to Kanto, so we'll get to talk about that. But one of the standout things about this game is that this is one of those things where like Johto kind of cannot exist without Kanto. At least we've never seen Johto exist without Kanto before. So maybe we'll get a Let's Go Johto game where they cut Kanto off entirely.
No.
That would be fucking stupid.
I
think it'd be funny, to be honest.
I would quit this podcast and projectile vomit for the rest of my being.
Like, I know it would be a stupid idea, but I think it'd also be funny. Just to see how, like, they would be able to space that out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, live viewer Bronze Tier Stooge Al just gave it away. I like caves.
You do like caves.
I do like
He
caves.
lives in a cave.
I don't tell anyone. If there's anything
I didn't say which cave.
Oh, thank you. If there's anything you can take away from our Tears of the Kingdom review episode, it's I do enjoy me some caves.
You do be spelunking.
I do be spelunking. Are there too many caves in this game? Possibly. Do I think of all of them as caves? Not. I mean,
Speak your truth. Say yes, and you love it that way.
I mean, it's hard to say what else they would have because they're going for a more realistic approach for the world building, and like especially,
they're going a lot more natural.
Setting in which, because it's based off of a region in Japan. So, like, that region, I believe, just naturally has a bunch of, like, caves or mountains and stuff. So it's bound to have more, like, just more of that because that's how they're basing it.
Right.
I don't know. I guess
it's just compared to Kanto, because Kanto's, like, got those man-made dungeons that you can go to, Pokemon Mansion and Power Plant. And it's got at least slightly more variety. Yeah. Not much, but like, I think just changing out those two for like more natural caves, there's just an abundance of them. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just an interesting observation I made when talking about Johto with a friend. I was like, you know what I realized?
I mean, the other thing is a lot of those areas are not even required. You have what?
That is a cool thing about Johto. Yeah. Ice Path, Union Cave, and only a portion of it, like not even the full thing.
1.5 caves. Unless you count Toho Falls that connects you to Kanto, but that's technically in Kanto. No.
It's not even really a full cave, like, in the sense that, like...
But so it's like, you don't have to, like, explore all of these caves. Yeah. So I get it from, like, it's a little bit repetitive as far as the type of side area you get. But, I don't know. I like it. Would I wish there was, like, more variety? Sure. But they're also going based off of a very limited... It's a Game Boy Color. They're Game Boy games. Like, I'm not going to demand a whole lot. But I do enjoy the Johto region. I love... Now, here's one that is not a cave. National Park. Oh. That song? Oh. So good. Is the thing itself very remarkable? No, not really. It's just a fucking giant grass patch.
It's a Pokeball shape.
Yeah. And, like, there's the bug catching contest there. Cool. But it's like, it does give you a breakup in the monotony of, like... Yeah.
Special areas that are just routes.
It's just cool, and it has a fucking killer song that I hate you both for not bringing up first, but I guess I don't. I take that back because I got to talk about it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
To its credit, there are a few more dungeons in
There's
in Johto, but they're not caves.
Yeah.
You've got the Burn Tower,
Yep.
the Bell Tower,
Yep.
and Sprout Tower.
Yep. You got some towers.
And all three of those you have encounters, so they're technically dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
2 of them have
Now that I think
rival
about it,
fights.
yeah.
So
yep.
yeah, they're like Sprout Tower's not required.
Unless you want Flash.
If you want Flash, then it is. And then is Burn Tower technically? I know it is in Crystal.
It's required in Crystal,
Yeah.
not in the original.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, that's the fun thing about Crystal is it changes a lot. I know I should just know things because I recently played through Pokemon Silver version for the channel, but that was 1,000 years ago.
I've been playing a lot of Gold and Silver for my Virtual Console living deck, so recently I've had
Way more.
a lot of chances to play.
You've had way more experience with it. Though that being said, let's put this idea out there. Al? Anyone else who pays for Patreon? Maybe we'll do a Gen 2 Nuzlocke.
Maybe.
I don't know. You have to.
Do you guys know how many hours you've clocked in the Gen 2 games,
Oh.
like off the top of your head?
Jack, say like less than this many.
Okay. This many.
There we go.
For the listeners, Landon held up all 10 fingers, and Jack held up 9.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know. What? How many hours do you think you played?
Did
for
you-
Honestly-
Gen 2?
Yeah.
I have way more experience with Heart Gold and Soul Silver than I do with the original games. I've done maybe 3 or 4 full playthroughs of the Generation 2 games, so maybe like...
Well, don't sell yourself short. That's a lot more time than I thought.
I mean,
you were
I don't
gonna
know,
say.
maybe...
I mean, one whole playthrough is a good 30
So,
hours
like, maybe
or so.
100,
That's about
100
plus hours.
20, 130 hours, maybe?
Okay.
Good.
Oh, Jesus, where do I start?
Um,
Landon and I have played a lot of
Yeah,
these
I'm going to be more
games.
involved once we get to the next one.
So, I've had at least 3 large files on a cartridge copy of Pokemon Gold.
mm-hmm.
2 of those definitely went over 150 hours, and one of those definitely went over 100. So I'm just gonna like lowball it and say 400 hours on cartridge. And then I've also got a file on Virtual Console for Gold that's gone over 150 hours. A file on Silver that's reached about 50 hours. I've got a Crystal file that's reached about 20 hours. I'm not really going to count that, but like, I'm definitely looking at somewhere in the ballpark of like 650 plus. And that's like lowballing it. I might be closer to like 800-ish. I don't think it's over 800, but it's definitely a ton. I mean, the funny thing is there's like a couple games that I've played, just games, single games, that I've spent more time than Gen 2 on. But I mean, I've spent a respectable amount of time on Gen 2 for sure.
I probably estimate myself probably around the 500 plus like mark for the Pokemon Gen 2. Because I probably spent 200 plus hours on my Silver copy as a kid, and then with the amount of different like starts and just like going through like Gold, probably easy another 100, 150 there. Add probably an extra 40 hours from Crystal. And then, yeah, Virtual Console, I did a playthrough. Silver there. So, yeah, I'd probably say somewhere, not nearly as much as Cloud, but definitely a lot of time.
Not too far behind me for
Yeah.
sure. Where would you guys say Gold and Silver, Crystal like rank for you in like the grand scheme of like the entire series? Like kind of just like ballpark.
Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah, I'll say for me it's definitely like near the topper, like the higher ends. Like Heart Gold Soul Silver is literally one of my top 2 games, but Gold, Silver, Crystal themselves are like, I have a tier list. I remember putting them in A tier. That's about correct. I think they're definitely in like the upper third of the series. Even like going back to them, they still play really well. I mean, yeah, they're slightly slow because like you don't have running shoes, so your only option to move fast is a bike. But like, it introduced so many little tiny things that just make the game just easy to revisit, especially over Red, Blue, Yellow. Like, we talked about how archaic they are, but like, I mean, Gold and Silver just, you can move Pokemon directly without having to change boxes. You can just interact with objects to use HMs instead of going into your menu all the time. The bag just having more, space in it, just all these little things just make the game so much more streamlined. It's amazing how easy they are to go back to. Like, yeah.
They are. I've gone on record. If you watch any of our old content, I've gone on record saying I usually flip between like their remakes and the originals as like some of my favorite Pokemon content. End of story.
If I were to rank the 9 generations, for
You don't have to do like all of them, but like,
No,
where
no.
would like Gen 2 fall?
like 4th.
Okay.
Like 4th? Okay.
4th,
Not bad.
I would say at worst 5th. But
Damn.
I mean, I would probably say
but
4th is about right for me.
definitely
too.
no higher than 4th though. The top 3 is pretty solid.
Yeah. I mean, the top 3, I don't know if it might not be in the same order as yours, but it's like what, 3, 4, 5, right?
It's 3, 5, 4,
It's like-
but yeah.
For me, I think it'd be 4, 3, 5, maybe. It's kind of hard. They're like all really close. But yeah, no. I mean, Gen 2 are just really solid games. Like, just they're surprisingly balanced for what they were. Like, they didn't have natures, and like they didn't have the EV system that they do now. So you could like do cool stuff. Like, you could max out all your Pokemon stats still. So like, if you wanted to use an Espeon that used Shadow Ball, I mean, it's not great, but you can do it. You probably wouldn't want to be caught dead doing that in Gen 3, but you can do it in Gen 2.
You could take a Dunsparce and beat Red over the side of his head with it.
Yeah, you can do that.
True.
Dunsparce really came in clutch in your Pokemon Silver run.
Fucking.
We have a Let's Play. Go watch that.
Alright, let's recount it blow by blow for the rest of this podcast. Alright, so we get. No.
So we talked about the where we would place them, like, generally. We talked about Johto region. One of the things that I thought was really cool was just the fact that there is Kanto there. Like, I know it's such a like heated topic, just like the fact that, oh, these games have 2 regions. Some people, like, to this day, they're begging, they're like, give us another game that has 2 regions. Like, Gold and Silver and their remakes are the only games that actually do this. But then there's other people that are like, well, Johto kind of sucks because they had to put Kanto in there, so like they complain about it. So like, how would you say you feel about the inclusion of just these games having 2 regions like that, including the entire Kanto region?
It's cool. Adds a lot more to the game. Adds like an extra, probably, I'd say Kanto is what, like a quarter of the game's total content in terms of
yeah,
like things to
because
do.
like the thing is you have all the HMs already, and so it's easy to move around. So like you're not going to spend nearly as much time as in Johto.
But
Probably like 10 hours.
yeah, I don't know why anyone would complain about it, but I think it's cool.
Most people complain because it's not balanced well. Because
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
we'll get into this game's balancing. My God,
I mean,
we can start talking about it.
it
right now if you
fucking
want.
sucks. This game,
Like, I want this to be a more open discussion because, like, that's just how this is the kind of topic that we should just go for.
It sucks. This game's level scaling, like, and pacing is fucking terrible. Like, it gets to a certain point in the game where, like, it opens up and you can go to a few different cities, but, like, the level of Pokemon just completely flatlines for, like, the next 6 hours of the game. And it's hard to actually get experience for some of the later trainers in the game because you're fighting all of these random, like, late teens and early 20-something Pokemon. Like, when you go, like, meet up with Lance in Mahogany Town and you have to take on the Rocket Grunts and all their fucking Pokemon are in the teens. Even, like, I get it. If you go through this area first, it's meant to accommodate for that. But it also means that the game's pacing suffers as a result. And yeah, that's...
I mean, I'll say my issue with the pacing is more so the fact that it's just it randomly spikes in the wrong ways. Like, they also, like, yeah, just like Jack said, like, they have stuff that's a little too low. But then, like, you have these ridiculous level spikes where, like, if you're playing at, like, a normal pace, going from Whitney to Morty is kind of a huge jump. And then, like, Morty to, like, the next 3 are not that bad because you have so much that you can do. So by the time you get to, like, these 5th, 6th, and 7th gyms, your team's gonna hit around, like, the 30s. But yeah, there is a sudden, like, drop off, but then it just spikes right back up and, like, goes all the way up to, like, 40 with Claire. But then, like, it just ramps up from there. But the problem is that when you get to Kanto, they decided rather than, like, balance the EXP based on, like, the point of the game you're at, they were like, well, the gym leaders are obviously weaker than Lance, so none of them can be stronger than Lance, except for Blue because he beat Lance before, so he can do that. And Blaine, I guess, sure. And then, like, all the other gym leaders, like, they had... Shout out to Janine and her level 39 Crobat, because they could not justify putting her stronger than Koga in the Elite Four. And I think I'm actually, like, highballing. I think that was just the remakes level. I think she was 36 in the original game.
I'm gonna look this up.
But the problem isn't just that. The wild Pokemon are also
super
their
low
levels
leveled.
are scaled. They're scaled to what they would be in the original games. So, like, if you go to Route 1, you're going to get Route 1 levels. If you go to, like, I don't know, man, Route 9, Route 10, you're going to get, like, mid-teens, because that's what they were in the original games. They don't, like, buff the levels up. I think that's the issue, is that they just have a lot of... Kanto just... They tried to make Kanto the Kanto levels.
Okay, Cloud, you were slightly off. In the original games, her Crobat is level 36, but in the remakes...
Yeah, that's what I...
In the remakes, it's
Yeah.
level 47.
Yeah, I caught that. Wait, 47?
Yeah, 47.
Really? What?
Yeah, her Pokemon in the remakes are in their late 40s, early 50s.
No way.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, like, that's like my only real issue. But, like, I really like the fact that the games have this, like, end game boss with Red. And there's a lot of stuff that they want you to do because of the day and night cycle, the weekly cycle. It feels like they want you to, like, kind of grind this game out, which is why they have, like, the levels are low, yeah, but, like, you still have plenty of stuff you can do before you fight Red. So I think, like, what they were going for works, but it's, like, it's kind of, like, lost the messaging over the years. But I mean, like, for their time, I still think it was fine. I think what I am a little spoiled, though, because, and I mean, we're spoiled in general. They fixed Kanto and Johto, especially Kanto, in the remakes, because Kanto was like shrunken down a third of its size. So you had to, everything was like a lot smaller. And not only did they add that stuff back in the remakes, but you also had like extra areas that they added beyond Chuck's city, Cianwood. But like, I mean, you had stuff like in like the post game of just the base Gold and Silver. Did you ever do like the trainer house in Viridian City? There's this trainer named Pokemon Trainer Cal, and he has the 3 starters at level 50, but his team gets overwritten if you do like communications with a friend. Their team gets subbed in his place. So I used to like load my team up in another game with like Mewtwo, Legendary Birds, Blastoise, and I would just fight that team over and over.
Hell yeah.
I think that was sick. I think that's something that they need to bring back. They used to do it quite a bit. Like Ruby and Sapphire had this in the form of secret bases. They brought it back in the remakes. You could do that with secret bases. But like, no, there needs to be more Pokemon games where you can just make a friend into an NPC and just fight them.
Make yourself into an NPC and fight them. That too. I understand people's complaints about the pacing, but I don't care because I have a fun time.
That's fine.
You know, that's. I mean, yeah, it kinda, it does flatten out as far as like wild Pokemon and like Kanto's wild Pokemon.
It's just hard to add a new.
Like
it's just hard to add new team members after a certain point.
Yeah, but also from a world building thought process of it, it's like it makes sense that Kanto would still have like a bunch of low-level Pokemon mostly running around in the areas that it was. It wouldn't change too much over like 3 years or 2 years or whatever it was between, generation 1 and 2. So level 50 Pokemon aren't just gonna magically start showing up just because some kid beat up Team Rocket and Lance got dethroned again. But it can suck for some people, and usually, man, I can't really think of. I would say the biggest issue I would have with Johto is some of the Johto Pokemon are locked to Kanto.
Yeah.
It's really hard to start trying out the new toys when some of the new toys you have to beat the game to try out.
Yeah. And I know some people will say that Silver's the real, like, end game, but, like, not technically the Elite Four
You get a credit sequence after you beat Lance. Like, yeah, there's a massive post-game and there's a second credits, but, like, that doesn't mean you technically didn't beat the game just because there's all that post-game material. Like, you still beat it if you beat Lance.
Yeah. But I don't know. I love the post-game material. That's, like, it's usually my biggest gripe about, like, newer Pokemon games. At least I haven't played Scarlet Violet still. Who knows if I ever will at this point. Maybe one day. Maybe Cloud will force me to. He almost tried to buy it for me. Instead, I got a shirt that's slightly too small. But that's fine. I can still wear it. And it's cool because it's trails.
I got you 2 trail shirts.
You did. Tune in for next time to see another shirt. Yeah. So yeah, no, I love when these games have like a lot of post game, and I just feel like this, for me, like this game set the bar for like the amount of post game, not necessarily the type of post game. Now, am I one of those people who would love to have like a second region with its own set of gym leaders? does it necessarily have to go back to, like, an older region? No, but they've kind of done that in some games with, like, the battle facilities. You know, you've got your battle frontier and stuff. Like Emerald with its own, like, shit. So, like, they've had that type of stuff. But I like that kind of stuff, is when you get, like harder challenge, like, trainers that you wouldn't have access to.
And I mean, the Battle Tower did come out in Crystal, so that even added some more replay value right there. Like, with Crystal, they have... The Battle Tower is a little different. Like, it's in intervals of 10, and there's no, like, you know, special, you know, trainers that you can fight after certain streaks or anything. But, like, you get, like... I think it's, like, you do, like, a series of trainers, and, like, you get items as, like, rewards. So you can get, like, held items and stuff like that. Like, it's really cool that, like, even Generation 2 was, like, starting that kind of thing. Like you said, like, Generation 2 really started a lot of, not just mechanics, but just design decisions that the games would have going forward. I think that was really
just
cool.
It just had, like, all that design decision without, like, really having the time to flesh it out.
Right,
unfortunately.
Yeah, because I mean...
they had to pump these games out.
Yep. Because, like, you have, in Fire and Leaf Green, you got the Sevii Islands, and those pay homage to Johto at times, too, because you've got the music that they're bringing back from the Johto games and remixing and stuff like that. And I really liked that, because it was, like, I know it's never going to happen, and I've turned to ROM hacks for this purpose, but, like, I think it would be so cool to have a game that has Johto, Kanto, and the Sevii Islands all in one game.
Oh.
Like, that would be insane. Like,
that would be... They need to do another Kanto remake.
Another one?
Actually, at this point, it would be a Johto remake. Yeah, another one.
Another one. But it's got to have the Sevii Islands.
It's got to have the Sevii Islands and Johto. Done.
Yep. I will say, like, there was a game that I played. There was a Tohomon ROM hack, Tohomon Enhanced, and that one has all 3 regions. And, like, by the time you get to the end of the game, you're going to Mount Silver, and, like, there's just a gauntlet of trainers with level 100 Pokemon. It's insane.
Hell yeah. I think what would be cool, if in this hypothetical, if you had Johto, Kanto, Sevii Islands, you got to choose where you started.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
And then, like, your challenges are different based off of that. So, like, Sevii Islands would have to have its own, like, league, I guess.
Or maybe like Sevii Islands could end up just being, like, either, like, before you go to either area, or it could be at, like, the post-game area after you've beaten the other 2 areas.
Fair. Well, here's a hypothetical for you. If this game took place after the storyline of Johto, because something that the Johto games do is, show off what happens to, Cinnabar Island. It gets, decimated by the active volcano that's nearby. Sevii Islands serve as a spot for some of the gyms for Kanto.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So instead, you get, like, Sevii Islands is just now part of, like, the Kanto experience in full.
That'd be pretty cool. Have you guys... how much do you guys know about, like, the beta for these games? Because there's, like...
I've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, the Pokemon that, like, have been shown off over the last couple years.
I've seen a fair bit.
You've seen a fair bit. So, like, I was big on, like, when they ended up getting a hold of that Space World 97 demo. And I think one of my favorite things that's come out of it is, speaking of which, there are, like, some ROM hacks that, like, kind of realize the full, like, beta version of Johto. It is insane, like, how different Johto is going to be. Because Johto was just going to be straight up the entire, like, country of Japan, just condensed. It'd be like...
Fuck yeah.
And then, like, Kanto was just going to be one city, heavily condensed. It's Yeah,
That's gross.
It's really
It's
weird.
weird.
And like, I guess Red, because like you can find him there. Red is intended to be like the gym leader for the entire Kanto region. That's like in that one city. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense just from a story perspective, but that's still like...
Yeah. No, you know what's really bizarre is like when in like the actual Space World 97 like code, there's like references to like Giovanni and Misty becoming Elite Four members. How cool would it have been if Giovanni came back and was an Elite Four?
Elite Four member?
Yeah.
As long as he has a better team.
Yeah, true.
His team notoriously sucks in most games.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. At least, you know, when he has his like normal types, he's fine. But once he has his ground type team for his gym, just kind of, I don't know. It's that Kangaskhan, man. That's the only part that I think is good.
Were you about to say something, Jack?
No, not really.
Oh, you moved towards your mic. I was like, oh,
I wasn't sure if you were expecting me to.
I did have a question that I wanted to ask. It's just kind of like a general thing. So like, we've gone over like general likes and dislikes about the game, but what would you say are like your favorite things that they added in these games over the first generation?
I absolutely adored the day-night cycle when I was a kid. I thought that was cool. And I thought it was weird when Gen 3 took it away.
Yeah, that was kind of weird to me when like I first played it.
Yeah. Like, no knock to like Gen 3 in its entirety, because those are perfectly solid games. I know I probably just committed 12 years of blasphemy for the character I put up, but, you know, I'll say it. They're okay. They're fine. They're less than stellar. They're mediocre at best.
But going back to your main point.
They suck ass.
Yes, they suck ass. I just thought it was, like, super weird that they, just, like, cut a, like, what I had assumed was now, like, a pretty core mechanic. Was, like, just time. Especially since, well, first, I think what pissed me off the most was I couldn't access natively Espeon and Umbreon. I think that's what did it to me.
Yeah, because I mean, not only can you only evolve them in the Hoenn games, you can't obtain them in the Hoenn games. So the literal only way to get one is to get Eevee in the two games that don't have time at all, and then move them over to one of the games that do, which
or
not a lot of people do.
Transfer him from Coliseum or XD.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Gen 3 at a later time, but yeah, the day-night cycle is...
Day-night cycle for Gen 2 was like, as a kid, I was like, I love this. And obviously the new types and stuff, but like, definitely like for a core mechanic, I like took to that real easy. Breeding, I did not understand. I think I threw away an Elekid egg as a kid. Or, like, some egg. Like, I had an egg at some point pop up, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, old person? Delete. Get out of here. I don't want that.
Oh, yeah, and Crystal, because he gives it out in Crystal.
No, like, my Pokemon actually fucked.
Oh, that egg. Okay. I thought when you said Elekid, I was
eggs.
Thinking about the egg that
the free egg that you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was like one from breeding, actually. And I think it might have been Elekid. It might have been something else. But, like I just didn't understand that concept. That one wouldn't come back around to me until actually Gen 3. But, like,
same.
Yeah, the day-night cycle was the thing that, like, stuck with me when I was playing the games at first.
I'll say that my favorite things were probably just a lot of the quality of life features I mentioned, like just the expansion of the bag, being able to check what my moves even do, so that I didn't have to like put them in Pokemon Stadium just to know what I'm doing with my moves. And probably also like, I like the breeding mechanics, but like you said, like, I wasn't big on them until Gen 3, so I can't really say that, like, I liked that, like, in retrospect, and I'm going to have a video on this on my solo channel, plug, but, like, there's a lot to talk about with the breeding mechanics, and these games already added a substantial amount into that whole system. But, I mean, I did also like the Dark and Steel type inclusions, like getting new types is exciting. And I would say that the idea that the special stat was split into 2 stats, like, obviously I understand it better now, but even as a kid, I thought it was cool. I was like, wow, there's this whole new stat. Whoa. Like,
more numbers.
Yeah. Like, even when I was a kid, like, I was a big fan of numbers. Like, I was a big number file, so it was like, whoa, numbers! Yeah!
Hell yeah. They added 100 new numbers, too, to the Pokedex.
And you can catch 26 different unknown. They're all shaped like letters.
You can spell out slurs.
I legitimately thought that the unknown were, like, really creepy as a kid, but, like, they were so mystical that...
Jack, you're the type of person that I would assume ran a team of 4 unknown that was just F, U, C, and K.
No, because I was one of those kids that...
No, I said Jack.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, you seem like one of those kids that would...
I wasn't even allowed to swear until I was like 13.
Yeah. You'd be one of those that just has a team that just spells out Pokemon.
Yep.
No, I just... Like, I like Unknown, though. And that's another thing. Like, Pokemon... I almost said Pokemon Johto. The Gen 2 games, like, they introduced quite a lot of, like, interesting gimmicks. And it's not like it's something that I want to see them do a lot of. But I think it just adds more flavor. Like you said, world building. It's really cool that, like, they just have these interesting Pokemon, like Unknown, who literally only exists to be a weird alien with 26 different forms. Just to add world building. Like, there was there's no other purpose for it.
Fucking phone calls.
Yep.
I love hearing about that Rattata.
Yeah.
That's like a major mechanic that they added.
As well as rematches. I didn't mention that at the beginning,
Yeah.
but they allow rematches too, thanks to that.
Yeah.
So,
especially like Crystal. I historically do not say a whole lot of nice things about Crystal, except 1, female protagonist, bomb. 2, the phone calls from certain people will give you evolution stones that are so limited in these games otherwise. Oh my god. Holy fuck.
oh yeah, that is one issue about the base Gold and Silver. It's so limiting, like what you can actually legitimately use, because there's so much stone evolutions you just can't get.
There's so many item trade evolutions and stone evolutions that it's so limiting. But I mean, hey, if you catch 1 bajillion Magnemite, maybe one will have a metal coat so you can evolve your Onyx.
Oh, dude, I spent so much time very recently for my living decks. I had to just thief off of Magnemite because I had already used up one of my metal coat, two of my metal coats, because I used Scizor in both games. One to keep and one that was going to my living decks. So I didn't have a spare metal coat for Steelix. So I had to like just go through, thief off Magnemites. Eventually I got one. My only other solution was I was going to have to play through my crystal file all the way to when you can get a metal coat, because you get one guaranteed one. But that was so far away. So I didn't want to.
I played through an entire.
It's on the boat to Kanto.
I know. I played for the Let's Play. I did that.
Oh my god.
Because it was easier than the catching. Because I didn't have a Pokemon with Thief.
Okay.
For
that
the
makes
Let's
sense.
Play.
That makes
so
sense.
I had to literally catch Magnemite and then go to the box, check and see if they had a fucking metal coat, and then release them, and then keep doing that.
Oh jeez.
But you know what's easier? just fucking playing through a game for, because if you're just running through these games, it takes... I can
like
beat
20,
it in...
like 15, 20.
Yeah, like 15 hours. Like, you can just run through fucking Gold. Like, I think that's what I did, is I just ran through my copy of Gold. But then I utilized Silver for... Because I needed... What Pokemon did I need the Stone for? 'Cause you guys gave me... I was given a weird team.
Oh,
Let's be
wasn't
honest.
it Bell Awesome?
Bell Awesome.
Yes.
See? Another... They had new stones. Sunstone. And they had some pretty cool, evolutions. Bell Awesome's cool. But getting Bell Awesome kind of sucked.
And the only other way to do it, to get one, you had to, like, beat the bug catching contest. And get number 1 in the bug catching contest. And there's a motherfucker in that contest. If you get Cool Trainer Nick, you might as well just turn the game off and reset. You're not beating Cool Trainer Nick. That dude always wins. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, they almost always give him... The scores are so high.
You can look up the scores for the Pokemon that are catchable in that, and it's really hard to beat him without, like, really trying to, like, you have to find, like, very specific Pokemon in order to beat him.
Yeah, I think the exact thing you need to do is it has to be Butterfree, Pinsir, or Scyther.
Yep.
They have to be the highest possible level.
Yep.
With the best possible HP stat. And keep in mind, you can't do anything so much as touch them when you throw a ball. Because if you do any damage, if you try to put any status ailments on them, that drops your points. You won't win if you do anything like that.
Yep.
And then even then,
ridiculous.
because of the stats being involved in that process, you don't know if you win until, like, you could catch something and still lose really badly to Nick.
Yeah. It's a cool concept. Fuck Nick.
Fuck Cool Trainer Nick.
Fuck Cool Trainer Nick. My God.
I do wish that they had brought back the Safari Zone. I like that they brought it back in the remakes, but that's not we're not talking about that. It is a shame they don't have it here.
It is, and I understand that's, like, what the bug catching contest is supposed to, like,
Replace.
Kind of replace. And at least it's unique, and it gives you access to some pretty decent items. But the variety of Pokemon that is available... I mean, Scyther and Pinsir,
They're already
pretty
there.
cool, especially in this game. Fucking Scyther, because you got the evolution.
Yeah.
Rip Pinsir will never be good. They made a better Pinsir. His name's Heracross. Sorry.
Yeah, Heracross. Heracross is the fucking coolest.
Heracross is probably the second coolest bug Pokemon. I'm sorry. I gotta give it to my boy Shuckle, but...
Oh, yeah, of course. I was about to ask you, too. I was like, wait a minute. Who's number 1? It went over my head. I was like, wait a minute. Obvious answer.
Obvious answer. I will say, I wish Shuckle... Shuckle is, like, kind of available naturally, but real hard to get. And Dunsparce. Fuck that 1% or 2%.
In Dark Cave.
God.
Without a swarm.
God. Fuck that shit.
We really did give you, like, the toughest team to assemble for that game.
Well, I think I picked Dunsparce. No. I actually picked... Who was it that picked Dunsparce? Oh, it was Pixel.
Shout out to Pixel.
I'm pretty sure it was Pixel on our Discord, because I asked people what I should use. And, yeah. And I believe Al picked, was it Remoraid? Octillery?
I think so.
Yeah. But we had to sub in, Lantern, for the pre-post game, because you don't get access to Remoraid until you can get access to the better rods, which is in post. Like, you have to have access to Kanto, which, once again, bringing back to an earlier point, not having access to some of the new Pokemon until You beat the game.
Is definitely legitimately a yeah.
Yeah. It kind of hurts on the team building.
What did I
aspect
pick?
a little bit.
I don't remember.
Let's see. So my team. No, you picked
Steelix.
That's
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
And I picked Blossom.
So
You did.
we all picked something that was hard to get or took a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoops. But I mean,
Yep.
you could throw a dart at a wall and you'd hit something that was hard to get in Johto. Like, they did it on purpose because they wanted you to grind it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stuck with my starter choice, which to make it easy, because knowing you assholes, it was going to be hard. I went with Typhlosion, the Cyndaquil line, just because I love all three. I could use all three, but that was easy. And then, was Justin the reason why I picked Noctowl? I'm pretty sure Justin was the reason I had to go with
Probably.
Noctowl.
Maybe?
Fuck, Noctowl sucks.
Yeah.
In these games, specifically the Generation 2 version of Gold, Silver, Crystal, Noctowl blows ass.
Noctowl blows ass in every game. It's not just Gold Silver.
Noctowl is a little bit better later on. Like, its move pool doesn't fucking blow
Yeah.
as much. Now, design-wise, I agree with Jack's earlier point. Like, Noctowl is pretty cool looking.
Oh yeah,
Noctowl looks
great
cool.
design.
And a part of that does help because of the anime. You know, Ash had a shiny Noctowl. Shoutouts to Ash's shiny Noctowl. So I always thought Noctowl was a cool Pokemon, but really having to use it in this game, it was when my team involves a Dunsparce, and I'm saying like something else is worse than that. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, for sure.
So that leads me into like one of the last topics that I can think of to really talk about. And that's that it's not for everyone, but there is a legitimately large portion of the fan base loves shiny Pokemon. And this was the first games that shiny Pokemon were introduced in. So I do want to ask, have any of you, besides the Red Gyarados in Lake of Rage, obviously was like a way to introduce the concept, because otherwise, if you didn't introduce that, then you wouldn't have people even knowing about shiny Pokemon right away. But have you caught something outside of that Red Gyarados in these games that was shiny before?
Nope.
Nope.
Not in these games or any other games?
Not in these games.
Damn, really?
I wouldn't get my first shiny until my shiny Ditto in Pokemon White in like 2011.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I might have caught a second shiny, but I only remember one shiny in these games that isn't the Red Gyarados. And I caught it somewhat recently because it was on the Virtual Console versions. You want to know what I caught?
Dunsparce.
A Goldeen.
Damn, you hate Goldeen.
Goldeen sucks, dude. Like, and
Who's
the shinies,
Goldeen or Hoot Hoot?
Like as a shiny, or just
No,
as a
just in
Pokemon?
general. Yeah, as a Pokemon.
I mean, I would take a Noctowl over a Seaking. I mean, let's be real. Noctowl has an interesting moveset. It has Hypnosis. You can teach it some psychic moves later on. Seaking's literally just a fish. It just gets the standard fish moves. Like, nothing interesting about it. And the shiny's not even interesting either. Like, so Goldeen back in these games, one thing that was interesting about Gold and Silver was like the color palettes were not entirely solved yet for Pokemon. There were still a lot of Pokemon that their colors weren't what they would be finally when they standardized everything. Goldeen used to be, it's always been majority white, but it's also had some pink, but it's also gone back and forth, and more recently it's been kind of like a pinkish orangish.
Mm-hmm.
But in Gold Silver, the base one was just outright pink, and then the shiny was orange. So like when I'm going through my boxes, I still forget that that's my shiny, like, because it's orange. It looks like a regular Goldeen, and I'm just like, Oh yeah, that's right. This is a disappointment.
Well, you got more than I ever got as far as
True.
shinies, so...
Did any of you ever encounter Pokerus in these games? Because that's also something that first showed up here.
Not in these games.
Yes.
Really? Yes. Ooh. Do you remember when?
I believe it was in my original silver, one. But also, considering I spent 200 hours or more, in that game, I'm not that surprised. I know I got it in this and in Gen 3. I know it's a lot easier in, later generations, like Gen 3 and onward.
Well, more so Gen
I
4,
think
because
so.
you can trade for that stuff. Because Pokerus is actually, it's like a contact thing, and it's actually rarer to get than shiny Pokemon.
Oh, well, I got Pokerus, but not shiny Pokemon, so... I'm real easy at catching diseases, folks.
There you go.
I've caught Pokerus in these games, I believe. In the Virtual Console release, definitely not the original release, though. I didn't know Pokerus was a thing until Gen 3. And even then, I didn't get Pokerus until... maybe late into Gen 3. I definitely did get Pokerus in Gen 3, because I remember my friend, I had a cousin, I'll talk about it in the next podcast when we do Gen 3 podcast, but yeah, I definitely bumped it in Gen 3. But no, I recently got it, I think on a Virtual Console release. I remember one of the NPCs saying it. I can't remember which game it's in. I'd have to look back, but yeah. So, Jack, did you have anything to add?
Any final thoughts about Pokemon Generation 2?
Just
Stadium?
Stadium is great. Stadium 2 is great. That's about all I got.
Okay.
This is still a little bit, in the grand scheme of Pokemon, a little bit before my time. In terms of...
What a young buck.
Yeah, I know. Pushing 30, and here I am talking about how I didn't get into Pokemon until the third generation, but that's for the next.
Jeez.
That's for the next one. But I mean, they're great games. I just didn't really grow up with them, so I don't really have a lot to say. I'll have more to say about this particular region when we talk about the remakes, honestly.
So
Okay.
how was your night off then?
Good.
Good. All right. I'm glad you had a good night off from the podcast.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I did play a lot of Stadium 2. I didn't own it, I rented it, but I remember I rented it a couple different times. The mini games are really, really fun in that game.
I only played a little bit of Stadium 2.
I remember, dude, it was
Yeah.
so high because it was so crazy. So people were already pretty hyped over Stadium 1 having Pokemon in 3D with these clean models because they look even better than what was in Pokemon Snap. But Pokemon Stadium 2 was crazy. The metallic texture on Skarmory and Scizor and Steelix, for its time, it looked incredible. I remember just being wowed by some of the models in that game.
My biggest memory of Stadium 2 is on a band trip in high school, someone was emulating it on a computer.
Oh,
They
wow.
brought their laptop and they were emulating it and playing that on the bus. It's my biggest core memory with that game. It's not me playing it.
No,
So-
just remember someone else was playing it.
Yeah, and so I don't own a copy. I don't it's
Al says Stadium 2 Crobat teeth. Oh, God.
God.
are they
Stadium 2
realistic
Crobat.
human teeth
Oh,
that are just
yeah.
yellow?
God, have you seen Crobat from Stadium 2?
It's
Probably, but it's not once again, it's not.
I'm gonna
It doesn't live
I'm
with
gonna-
me as much as other stuff.
pull this up.
It lives rent free in my head.
Good.
Okay.
Wait to see this.
So, if we don't, do we have any final thoughts, or do we want to just go on to our wrap up?
Oh yeah, they're pretty much like realistic human teeth.
They're gross.
That's cool. I want a set of those.
You're jealous of Stadium 2 Crobat's teeth?
Yeah, they're cleaner than mine. What was the other side game?
Pokemon Puzzle Challenge.
Pokemon Puzzle? That's not Pokemon Puzzle League. I don't care.
No, it was the follow-up to Pokemon Puzzle League.
Doesn't exist.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I've talked about it on our major series podcast. So, I mean, just go listen to that. There's not a lot to talk about. That's literally all the side games. There is one other game that technically is a Gen 2 game, even though it doesn't have Gen 2 stuff in it, that came out at that time, but only in Japan. So we're not going to talk about it.
What was that?
Pokemon Card GB2.
Oh. But you like that game.
I like the original. I can't say anything on the second game, even though I know it's better, because I haven't played it.
Oh.
I need to play it. I need to play a translated version of it.
You need to fix that.
I know that Pro Jared played a translated version of it, so it can't be that hard.
I don't know what that is. Is that a console?
Yes. The normal boot Pro Jared. That is the console.
You're just making shit up now.
Yes, I am. All right, so we've actually talked a decent amount about Pokemon Gen 2. As you can see, Jack is a lot less versed in it than Landon or I are. Landon and I both find them to be incredible games. But in the next podcast, we'll talk about, not the next podcast like the next one, but the next time we talk about Pokemon, we'll come back and we'll talk about Gen 3. I'm sure we'll have...
Stick around for Season 2.
Yeah,
Sometime
that'll be in Season 2. We're not doing it in this season. We're wrapping up the season soon. But speaking of wrapping up, segue, let's talk about what we've been up to the past couple weeks.
But wait. Hold the phone.
You gotta go get Tillamook, don't you?
And you have to talk about the Patreon.
Do I have to?
Jack,
My voice hurts. Jack, can you do the Patreon read?
Talk about the Patreon. You haven't talked at all. I haven't heard 18 words out of your mouth.
Okay.
You can talk about Patreon. Talk about the video that just went up. I don't know. Do something.
All right.
Shout out Twitch and stuff like that.
We have a Patreon. Patreon.com/GamingStooges. Join our Patreon to the Silver Stooge tier and find some fresh new videos that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. We have a Discord. Link is down below or somewhere if you're on Spotify or whatever.
It's in the description.
It's in the description.
Show notes, as they call them, whatever.
It's in the description somewhere. We just uploaded some fresh VODs this week. We got the last 2 Mario Wonder VODs. The first Tunic VOD went up yesterday. According to Landon, the good Tunic VOD, which is the second one, will go up tomorrow. And then we got WarioWare going up on Friday.
By the time this goes out to audio streaming, these will all be up already.
Yeah. Of course, I'm speaking purely to the stream listeners. Follow us on Twitch and listen to these streams live if you have a fucked up sleep schedule like we do.
Yeah.
Lennon's back. He's got Tillamook, I presume. Does he have Tillamook?
I have Tillamook, maple, and candied pecan frozen custard, baby. We're going back to some classics. No more of that ice cream bullshit. We're going back to the frozen custard.
You keep showing off these great things that I can't have. Fuck you.
Taste test?
Don't stop until you hit the bottom.
Damn.
That is what that says.
Which is a little bit easier to do in the frozen custards because they're not massive.
Yeah. I don't think they should be encouraging that on the regular ice creams.
I think they should start. Someone asks, how do you get the custard?
Live in the West Coast.
I go to the store and
Live
buy
in the
it.
West Coast. In the
Yeah, that's, I mean...
greater Portland
Like-
area, especially.
Like, they might have some in some local grocery stores, but you'd have to be going to, like, a full-on grocery store. Like, you can't be going to, like, some, like, department store, like Walmart's not going to have it. But, like, local chain Hannaford, I know that Tillamook has cheeses at that location. I haven't checked to see if they have ice cream from Tillamook. So I'd have to go back and look again, but it's possible that Tillamook might...
I'm in Massachusetts. Help me.
I am also in Massachusetts. Help me!
Well, if you just fly out here, I'll just take you to Tillamook.
True.
True.
Ask Jack. I did that.
Yeah.
I gave him COVID, and then I took him to Tillamook.
Hey, you didn't give me COVID
great.
personally. We just got it from the same source.
That's true. But still, we can make a trip out to Tillamook. It's like a day trip. Like, it is a day trip.
Yeah.
It's easier if we just stay out on the coast for a day and make it a 2-day trip.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not that far for me to actually go to their fucking headquarters.
Yeah. Lucky bastard.
Yeah.
All right, so what have we been up to these past couple weeks, Jack?
When was our last stream? Was that before the new year?
It was... Yes.
Right before the New Year.
New Year was okay. Had a small party with some close friends. Wasn't anything crazy, but it was fun. Have still been watching Better Call Saul with my girlfriend. On this past Sunday, my dad and I went to the Colts game. Or, excuse me, it was Saturday, actually, because they rescheduled it from Sunday to Saturday. It was the last game of the regular season. It was a play and get in, lose and go home for the playoffs, and they lost. And it was very disappointing. But the game was still fun, because it was close until the end. But, otherwise, I've been playing more Super Mario RPG, which is very fun, and I've been enjoying that so far. Yeah, that's about all I got.
For me, I've done quite a bit. I mean, I got sick, as you guys could hear throughout this entire podcast. I'm on day 5. It's great. My cough and like my throat is better, but it's still not great. And now I have a super runny nose. So that's been really cool to contend with this entire day.
Then you're pretty much over it.
Yeah.
If you got the runny nose.
Yep, we're gonna get through it. Tomorrow, hopefully, maybe the day after, should be back to normal. I also mentioned in the last podcast that despite me playing a ton of Mario Kart, it's actually just made me want to get into other kart racers. Now that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is finally like over, quote unquote. So I actually recently got Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. I bought Garfield Kart Furious Racing for Switch because it was on sale for $3. And for some reason, despite the fact that there's options for it, I could not get online to work. The game's okay. It's kind of
fucking bullshit. I bought it specifically because Cloud said it had online, and I'm like, all right, I'll spend the $3 on it since Cloud got me an eShop gift card, and I had the money in my account. So I'm like, all right, I'll spend $3 on the Garfield game so I can play it with Cloud, and we can't even fucking play online. Fuck you, Garfield.
Tell them what the Reddit did to you.
The Reddit?
Oh yeah, I put a question on the Nintendo Switch subreddit asking if anyone knew. Jack, you left. They took my fucking thread down. They locked that
what
shit.
The fuck?
Nobody had the chance to answer it. The mods just locked it.
That's such bullshit.
Yeah, like I guess I'm never gonna find out how to use how to play online in Garfield Kart because I guess they don't want me to know. So
Cloud, can you get out of the picture?
oh, I'm sorry. My cat is chilling behind me.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's Sneezy, baby.
It's
Sneezy.
She's making biscuits.
She's making
Do
biscuits
it.
on the beanbag.
Hell yeah.
Time to make the donuts.
Beautiful.
She's going to town. But yeah, I've been playing more kart racers. I started playing Diddy Kong Racing DS.
Hell
'Cause
yeah.
I owned that. It took a little bit of time to get used to the controls being a little bit different, but other than that, I was enjoying it quite a bit. So, I mean, I've been egged on by the Discord to make a video with the clickbait. I played every kart racer, so you don't have to. And I guess that's going to be a project that I will do one day eventually,
Hell yeah.
I guess.
Patreon goal.
Patreon goal.
Yeah. Once we hit this many subs,
I have quite a few games I could play, and there's more that I could get access to. I've got Mickey Speedway USA on Game Boy. Okay, I guess I could play that.
time for you to get really into Sonic Drift.
Hell
God.
yeah.
Oh goodness. I think I still need to get like the Origins Plus upgrade for Sonic Origins, and I guess I'll have another way to play that then. I can already play it on Sonic Mega Collection.
Sorry.
I can already play it on Sonic Mega Collection, but now I'll be able to record it. Oh man, I'm really gonna have to play Sonic Drift, aren't I?
Yes.
Oh, Al makes a good point. Like a Dragon has a mini cart. Is a
But
cart.
Just the
Minigame.
cart minigame.
Yeah.
Just the cart minigame, though. I don't know, man. But yeah, no, I've been getting into kart racers. I modded my 3DS. It was surprisingly easy to do. Yeah.
Sick.
Oh, and what else have I been doing? I got Sonic Superstars. Been playing through that a bit in pieces. We have the intention of doing a podcast where we'll review these games before the end of the season, so Jack, you should get the game and play it.
I will consider it.
If not, you're doing the notes.
Okay.
Cool, I'm glad we have that established.
Yeah.
It's on record.
It's on record. Other than that, I mean, yeah, just been shuffling around different games. I finished my Virtual Console living decks for the Gen 1 and 2 game releases, because like I wanted to have all my Pokemon in Pokemon Home with you get a little Game Boy icon. I wanted 249 Pokemon with a little Game Boy icon, so I did that. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Oh, and I started getting back to the game Bravely Default. There's barely any feet in that game.
Sorry.
We were talking about in the Discord. We had a really massive amount of discussion in the Discord today.
Oh my god.
And at one point I talked about Bravely Default. And then I've been told by multiple different people, stop it.
Well, no, you can play it.
I was told it's good, but there's going to be a certain point where it's not going to be good anymore. Fair warning. And I'm like, cool.
Jack, how much of did you play Bravely Default?
I did, but not far enough to get to the point where it gets bad.
Oh, okay, so like in your mind's eye, it's still like a decent game.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much did you play? Like how many hours did you put in?
Into Bravely Default? Maybe
Yeah.
15.
Okay, so I'm around where you are then maybe, because I just got to 12 hours in.
Are we going to have a Bravely Default episode?
Oh no.
No! God,
Why not?
no.
Is that what you want, Landon?
I mean, I've beaten the game, so I can talk about it if we really wanted to.
I guess. Maybe one
It's
day.
just- It's up to you guys.
Maybe one day we'll do a Bravely Default review podcast.
Well, we don't have to do a review podcast. I mean, I guess it would just be a review podcast. We'll just discuss it at length.
Yeah.
Like we just did a Pokemon Gen 2 review podcast. Except it's not going to be titled that. Anyway, hi. I'm KGG53, aka Mr. Dunn, aka the Mr. Gaming Stooges. I'm sure I have other titles. Jack, do you remember any of my old titles?
I remember there was a time where, for some reason on Discord, not Discord, this was Skype days, my name for you was Landon the Big Ass Tree.
I remember.
I don't remember
that
why.
Landon put himself as the Hebrew Rave Master.
Oh, of course.
I remember that.
Those are the classic days.
Classic. I had such a long Skype name.
I'm gonna find it real quick because I guarantee I have a screenshot somewhere.
Please do.
Yeah, that was like Landon's thing back on Skype, is he had to make like the most ridiculously long username, and Skype just took it. Like they let him do the whole thing.
Skype didn't have a character limit. It was beautiful.
Yep.
What have I been doing recently? Let's see, New Year's, we had that. We went out to Bend, Oregon. I talked about this on a thing at some point. Was it a Kingdom Hearts video? Was it a stream?
I don't
It was
remember.
probably Kingdom Hearts video.
Okay, well, I'm going to say it again because Kingdom Hearts video audience and the podcast audience probably don't mix too much. Outside of Al. Sorry, Al.
Shout out to Al.
We went out. We stayed at McMiniman's property out there. We had I had a pretty good burger in downtown Bend. There was like a couple bands that were playing at the McMiniman's, and so we watched one of them, and then because I'm an old person, I went to bed around midnight. And then let's see, the next day that day started with a bomb-ass breakfast at, I think Tollgate Inn was the place it was called, in Sandy. And then blah, 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 blah. Next day, we went out we were driving back home. We stopped at the High Desert Museum, saw a cool fox out there. We drove through Sisters. We stopped at a coffee brewing company out there, but they had a bomb. It was Kingdom Hearts, because I remember I talked about the sandwich. The grilled cheese sandwich.
Yep.
With the tomato basil soup that they had.
Yep.
That was great. And then we did that hike as part of the Mackenzie River. So that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I've been playing Dragon Quest Monsters still. I've reached the upper echelon, and I beat my first area for that. I've been playing more of Phoenix Wright, Layton versus Wright. I just finished part 1 of chapter 4. So like the third trial in the game. I was playing that before the start of this, actually. And then, for the first time in 2 months, I've gotten back to The Legend of Heroes. Yeah, I've been playing Trails of Arise. So, that's been great. I finished, like, the first third of chapter 2.
Nice.
And then...
What you got there?
I bought some of this stupid paperwork so I could complete a couple games of my DS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection instruction booklets, and then one of the health and safety precautions booklets. And more importantly, because my copy doesn't have the manual, I have the manual for Explorers of Darkness.
Hell yeah.
If anyone needs a cart-only copy of Devilish, I had a cart and could not find just the case and manual and shit. So I bought a complete copy for like $7. So if anyone just wants a cart, it's out there. And then I picked up this shitty game. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Legends.
And this was $15 at work, so I got the new Samba.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, there's been a lot of just mostly Dragon Quest, and you know, I downloaded this weird game on my phone. Apparently the broadcast I've been watching has ended.
Really?
Huh.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe me either, but that's what my phone says. My phone's probably stupid.
We are still going. Your phone is definitely
okay.
stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say it out loud, but I'll show it on the video. And I downloaded something real stupid.
You got Super Mario Run.
No, you're not supposed to say it out loud. It's supposed to be a surprise for later.
What is later?
Not too bad.
This... We've discussed it in passing, a future podcast topic. Whatever was on my phone, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
So we'll catch you guys next time. We have already planned out the rest of the season's podcast, except for one which is currently going under a poll as of the streaming of this podcast, but by the time this is out on all platforms, it's going to already have been decided on. So we are looking forward to doing those podcasts. If you want to know more about those, join the Discord again. And
we haven't talked about this, but I wanted to throw out an idea. For the final podcast for this season, I was thinking we get people to write in stuff for like stuff they want us to talk about the season.
Okay.
So if you want to write us, easiest way is just join our Discord.
Yeah,
but
just
you can
join the
leave a
Discord.
comment. You can leave a comment in the YouTube video, and we'll check that and we'll read that. So if you have something like a comment or a question about Season 1 of Gaming Stooges podcast, leave that in. What week are we recording that? It's March something.
Yeah, it's sometime in March. So, I mean, you guys have 2 months to listen to this, leave a comment, or contact us on Discord. There's going to be...
I believe it's March 17th through the 23rd, if I remember correctly, or it's the 10th through the 16th. One of those 2 weeks. Sometime between March 10th through March 23rd is when we're recording that episode. So you have until early March to let us know.
Yeah. But other than that, we'll catch you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Gaming Stooges Talks podcast. If you enjoyed us, consider subscribing to our podcast RSS feed, or follow us on youtube.com/GamingStooges and twitch.tv/GamingStooges for more gaming content. If you'd like to chat with us, join our Discord. The link can be found in the episode description. We also want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Your continued support means a lot to us. Not already one? Please take a look at what we have to offer anyone who becomes a patron at patreon.com/GamingStooges. See you next time.